Ready to run. I want to start talking, but I know Mike's going to play something else, so I might as well just sit here and wait.
No, I wouldn't do that to you, George, would I?
I'm half expecting you to do it.
That means I won't do it because you're expecting it.
Oh,
it's when you don't expect me to do it that I bust out the showtime, George.
I'm expecting it at all times. This way you'll never bust it out. Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday Night Waiver Show. As you can see, we got a little different lineup this evening. You got, as always, our man in the middle here, our rock, the guy who leads us to fantasy glory. We got Dirty Jobs. Mike, how you doing this evening, Mike?
Good. How we doing this evening, man? Had a good weekend. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I won in the leagues I care about, lost in one of them that I cared about, but we're not going to talk about the Scott Fish Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And then as you can see, Steve is not with us tonight. He's busy trying to climb that corporate ladder, trying to become, a Fortune 500 company or a Fortune 100 company or whatever the hell he's doing right now. He's still stuck at work. So we called in a last minute pitch hitter, and he's ready to hit a home run for us. Justin from the ToiletsToTitles Podcast. Justin, how you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. I was going to try to call into your show and get some advice on Tua this week, and then the next thing I know, I'm a host, and I don't know what I'm doing here, but we're going to see what we can find out. It really sucks because Steve's opinion is the one I value the most. So
I don't blame you. We all value Steve's opinion. My opinion is garbage. I'm happy to say this. That is no problem.
No, stop.
We all value Mike's opinion. He, like I said earlier, he's the guy that writes this ship and keep us straight. I'm going to do a quick little bit of housekeeping. It's not going to be nearly as pretty as when Steve does it. The reason I normally let Steve do it is because he's 1,000 times better at it than me. So being a good leader, when somebody's better than you at something, you let them do it. So I'm going to try this. I make no promises it's going to be good. I do want to talk about real quick with our partnership with Ray GQ and Destination Devi. If you're not following Ray GQ, if you're not following the Destination Devi, I don't know what the hell you're doing. This dude is one of the brightest minds in Devi in the entire industry right now. The man is on fire. He is literally 100% all gas all the time. So go follow Ray GQ, follow Destination Devi, learn about all these players before they actually make it into the NFL. And this way you'll have an edge up on your opponents. Another one of ours. What's that, Mike?
No, sorry. That was me just doing something on this. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Oh, no problem. I can ramble. Another thing I want to talk about real quick is our writers for the Sleeper Wire show. Our writers are literally kicking out some of the most top-notch content on a weekly basis. You have to join the Patreon on Sleeper Wire to get the content. I believe that's right, Mike?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay. Yeah, you get, the Tuesday waivers. You get all types of articles. These guys are literally out there pumping this stuff out day after day after day. Different writers, different articles. These are some of the most up-and-coming, brightest minds in the industry. So go ahead and check their stuff out. We're also doing our jersey giveaway contest. First 100 people to follow us on Patreon. And listen, you can donate just $1 for Patreon. For $12 for the entire year, you could be entered into a jersey giveaway contest where you can have your choice of a Tyreek Hill or Kenny Golladay jersey. I guarantee you cannot buy either one of those jerseys for $12 anywhere. So go ahead, get them. They are from Pristine Auction, which is one of our sponsors. And I think that's everything. I'm not sure if I missed something. If I did, I don't care. Follow our other shows. Follow us on Sleeper Wire. You probably already are. That's why you're tuning in. That's why you're calling, and that's why you're winning your leagues. Justin, now that I have rambled for way too long, I'm going to actually let you and Mike get some time in here. I'm going to ask you the same questions I typically ask Steve to start the show. We're here talking about guys you want to pick up, but in order to pick up guys, clearly we got to make room on our team. So I'm going to ask you about guys who do you feel can be dropped. This is not an endorsement saying, yes, you should 100% drop these guys. Clearly, you should never drop anybody unless you have somebody that you plan on picking up that you can see eventually playing or stashing to eventually help you win your league. With that, I'm gonna base this off of 12-team half-point PPR. Justin, are you ready to drop Zach Moss?
No, definitely not. I'm big on Zach Moss, and I know his comeback hasn't been stellar in any way, but Singletary isn't exactly blowing people's minds out right now. Like he's adequate, he's okay, but Zach Moss only had 5 carries for 10 yards this weekend. He's got the Jets coming up. That's gonna give opportunity for us to finally get to see him in week 7, because obviously they're going to be up and they're going to have that garbage time, and we're going to get to see how explosive and talented Zach Moss can be. I still envision a split between him and Singletary by the end of the season.
I agree. He's still somebody I want to hold. I'm not ready to cut bait with him. I don't think Steve, when he was here, I don't think he was ready to cut bait with him just yet either. Here's a guy that coming up next is Mike. I'm going to throw this to you first. It's a guy people spent a ton of their fab on. They went out, probably spent 30-40% of their fab on Dearness Johnson. Are you ready to cut Dearness Johnson from what you've seen from him in Cleveland, Mike?
As one of those guys, I would say probably not. The 2 situations that Cleveland has found themselves in the past 2 weeks are situations in which they're not in a running situation, right? They find themselves deep behind. Their schedule opens up a little bit more here in the next few weeks. I think they have another couple tough matchups coming up. But, I mean, I feel like you're going to have to use this guy. Kareem Hunt isn't really doing what he can do without having Nick Chubb out there, and you can see it. So I feel like they're going to have to make this guy a volume play. And based off of that theory, because – I think Cleveland will have to run this guy if they want to keep the philosophy that they have going forward. So I would hold on to him as well. He's ugly. It's not fun, but I think he'll have a breakout game here in the next couple of weeks.
All right. How about you, Justin? You ready to drop the Ernest?
Yeah, I'm still marking down this note. Hunt cannot play the way he does without a Chubb out there. Got it. So yeah, I mean, I agree with Mike. Definitely. I didn't spend a lot of fab on him at all because I was kind of concerned about, like, how coaches will say that Hunt has his job on the field and Chubb has his job on the field. And now that Chubb's gone, it's next man up. Like, I get that to a point, but in my mind, I was thinking Hunt is just that talented. But I mean, obviously they've still been trying to use Dearness Johnson. I mean, even against Indianapolis, that tough run defense, he still had 8 carries. So, like, they're trying to get him involved. So there is something to that. And just like Mike said, he's got a nice cush schedule coming up. So if you did spend that fab on him, you got to hang on to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me just clarify too. I'm not saying that Kareem Hunt isn't a fantastic running back. I'm just saying that he seems to need that yin to that yang, to really be able to explode into his game. He's not like he's like the best 1-2 punch in the game when they're both out there, him and Chubb.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah, I marked it down as well. Kareem Hunt sucks. The next guy up here on the list, Rex Burkhead. Justin, I'll throw this one to you first. Are you ready to cut the Burkhead?
Yeah, I think Damian Harris is the only running back in that backfield I would want to own. Maybe Sony Michel now that he's coming back from his injury soon. But outside of those two, I don't really want to have anything to do with that backfield.
And that's more than that backfield than I want to have to do with.
So the only thing in that backfield I want anything to do with is James White, to be honest. Like I get the Burkhead's got a role, but man, I want James White. Like, give me all of the James White. He's the pass catching back. I'm more than happy to take the pass catching back in that backfield.
I get it. I get it. I don't like it. I'm out. I'm out on all the Patriots running backs. I hate it. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's pick your poison. Like, you never know which one's going to hit. I don't wish injury on anybody, but like, if they could get another injury to where the guy can't play, it would clarify that backfield so much. How about Mike? I'm gonna throw this one to you first. This will be the last one for the running backs. Are you ready to drop Jamal Williams, or have you already dropped Jamal Williams?
That's a guy that I didn't even ever pick up, if I'm being completely honest. When he gets in there and he gets involved, he seems to be just okay. Like, even with Aaron Jones, if he was out, I would still be, very temperate on Jamal Williams. He just doesn't seem to have that talent that I like, and it just doesn't seem like he has that trust from Rodgers. So, yeah, no, I've never been into Jamal Williams, and I didn't start now. I'm out.
How about you, Justin?
I think if you have 4 or less bench spots, I'm obviously going to get rid of them. 5, I might consider hanging on to them. 6, I'm definitely hanging on, but only because of the matchups coming up. That offense is still running on all cylinders. So when they play their teams, like, I think most of these matchups, for the most part, should still be somewhat close games. But they've got Houston coming up. They've got Minnesota didn't look that good this week, but obviously Minnesota's much better. They got Jacksonville, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit. So, there's some games there where Jamal Williams could have some serious garbage time and a good offense that's picking up. So I guess, I don't know. I think as a streamer, I'm going to pick him up from time to time, but this week is one of those weeks against Houston. I've got my show here coming on at about 8:30 where we're going to be talking about streamers for this week, and he's one of the guys that was on my list for this week. So, but I also typically only do deeper guys. But after –
Mike, I'm going to need that audio at about 12 minutes.
All right. I asked for that one. All right. That didn't make it any better.
Listen, I wasn't going to say nothing, and then Mike started laughing, and I'm like,
I can't help it. Go. I am 12. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was the perfect 12-year-old giggle, too. It really. So I typically only look for the depth at this is not making any better.
We're just going to move on. We know what you're saying. You look for the guys that are less owned. The lower owned percentage of guys is what you're looking for. We get it. We're going to move on. This is a PG show here, Justin. For those who are just tuning in, I want to let you know what we're doing right now is we're just going over the guys that potentially, if you have on the back end of your roster. I'm checking with my 2 experts here, Dirty Jobs and Justin, to find out if they are ready to drop these guys. So let's go ahead. We just went over the wide receiver or the running backs. We're going to move right into wide receivers, and wide receivers is going to get a little bit more difficult. I'm going to start off with Russell Gage in a 12-team half-point PPR league. Mike, are you dropping Russell Gage?
I am. Yep. I feel like with Julio Jones coming back the way he came back, I don't feel like there's going to be many more mouths to feed. And then Hayden Hurst is even getting involved too. So, nope, I'm out on Russell Gage. I'm out.
Justin?
So I've owned him twice and dropped him twice in the same league. So that kind of tells me something. It kind of tells me something that, like, if I'm that much against him, that often, I probably should just move on. I will say the reason I keep picking him up, though, is because of that first week or two when Ridley was healthy and Julio was healthy and he was going up against the third guy. He actually played really well. So it's like there's some intrigue there, but I hate the guy enough that I've dropped him twice. I should probably just leave him put.
You've convinced yourself that, hey, he's done it once. Why can't he do it again?
Right, exactly.
So
I'm with that guy. Like, I feel like I picked him up right away, and I liked playing him in week 2 and 3, and then just after that, and I pulled him. It was like I kind of saw it coming, and I pulled him out because I can't even remember who I had. I think I had Juju Smith, which was probably not that much better of an option. But
don't get ahead of me, Mike.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just kept seeing his production going down and down. A lot of the Mohamed Sanu coming back, with Matt Ryan, like has those big games with that third wide receiver and then just never looks their way. 6 weeks from now, we'll probably be talking about, do we need to pick up Russell Gage again because he had a huge game,
Probably. So the next guy I want to ask you guys about has played exactly 0 snaps in the NFL. As far as regular season games, clearly a rookie, clearly injured. The situation on his team is pretty dire. There's really not a whole lot there right now. They're pretty much injured all over the place. Jalen Reagor. Justin, I'm going to come to you on this one first. If you have Jalen Reagor on the end of your bench, is he a hold or are you cutting bait with him?
And this is redraft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't own him anywhere, and I don't think I want to pick him up anywhere. I mean, none of the receivers have done well at all, even when they were healthy. Even Ward, the guy that should always steps up, he's like the constant guy. None of the receivers have done well. Oh yeah.
Past 2 weeks, yeah.
That's true. So I don't know. I don't trust it though. I really don't. I guess I do own Fulgham in a couple places where I was desperate, but I kind of forgot about him. But no, I don't trust it.
It's funny because Jake Seeley, I was on a show with him 2 years ago, and we were talking about Dynasty, and he told me, he goes, "I'm telling you what, this is back when Fulgham was on Detroit." He goes, "I'm telling you, this kid is special." He's like, grab him in every dynasty you can grab him, stuff him on your taxi squad, and forget about it. And so I did, and then he got cut on a few times. I'm like, I'm going to pull him off my taxi squad and get rid of him, and I just never got around to doing it. And now I'm like, yes, I got Fulgham everywhere in my dynasty league, so it works out.
Pays to procrastinate.
Right.
So the reason why Jalen Reagor is a cut for me at this moment is the way players are dropping around the league, you don't have really a whole lot of room unless you got a deep bench to keep him. You do have Alshon eventually coming back. Word is he's getting healthier and healthier, and eventually he's supposed to come back. Deshaun Jackson is coming back. I believe he's actually supposed to play on Thursday, which means you get him for at least a good 2 or 3 weeks. That offense is so banged up. The line is all banged up. Their only healthy starter from the start of the season is their center. They just lost Miles Sanders for, I think I heard 2 to 3 weeks. If that's wrong, please correct me. But
no,
I don't want anything to do with that Philadelphia offense. Everybody's shitting on top of Carson Wentz right now. I don't know if it says more for Carson Wentz for what he's able to do with no Deshaun Jackson, no Alshon Jeffrey, no Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz has been the invisible man all year. And
he's hurt now too.
Yeah, it's just people are crapping on him like he's a bad quarterback. But Jesus, at one point, do you take a look at the offense and say, well, there's nothing there for him to do anything with?
Literally, the center and the quarterback are the only 2 healthy guys that started the season, and there was a moment in that second half this Sunday where you kind of thought that maybe they had a chance at coming back. It was odd.
Yeah, it's just I'm not saying Ertz is a superstar quarterback, but I think he's better than he's getting credit for right now. That's all.
Wentz, you mean? Yeah.
Or Wentz, excuse me.
The Pennsylvanian, man, I've always been a big fan of his. I liked him. He actually comes out of the same quarterback system, college system as Josh Allen does. And so I've always been a really big fan of that system, right? Ever since Carson Wentz came out of it, I really liked Craig Bowles as a coach. He then got Josh Allen and did his damage to him, and you can see what the results of that were. But I like Carson Wentz back when he was in North Dakota State, way back when. And the guy's a baller, man. It doesn't matter his supporting cast. He sits there and he just gives 110% on that field. I can't imagine what would happen if you threw a supporting cast around this guy. I mean, look at this. Like we were talking about, like I think the Bud Light guys, the left guard, the kiosk guys, the left center. You know, I mean, it's crazy, man, what these guys are having to deal with on that team as an organization, and the fact that they haven't addressed this with better physical training or something like that, because there's got to be an issue somewhere in there. This team has this issue to me more so than most any other teams out there in football. And maybe it's the players that they have. You know, maybe Alshon Jeffrey is just a guy that we have heard of. I've heard he plays football, but if I always thought it was Alshon Jeffrey Q, because he always has a freaking Q right next to his guy. So I don't know. This guy to me is just he's just non-existent, and so they've had to go on without these people.
Hey, Justin, you've heard of the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right?
Yes.
Mike can do 7 degrees of Josh Allen. It is absolutely amazing. Like every NFL player will lead, like within 7 degrees, will lead Mike back to Josh Allen. It's absolutely amazing to see. Like he literally just took Carson Wentz back to Josh Allen.
Right. The same coaching system under Craig Bowles.
See, I'm telling you.
Is that why you're shaking your head?
That's why I'm shaking my head. Yeah. So I give Mike all the credit in the world. I don't think anybody was on to Josh Allen before Mike. I was not a Josh Allen fan coming out his rookie season. Mike was saying, no, this kid is going to be good. He's going to be really good. Mike said he was a top 10 quarterback. I'm like, dude, you've lost your damn mind. He's like, no, I'm telling you, he's going to be really good. Props, Mike. You called it. You called it before anybody I know.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yep. Let's get back into a couple more of these. Mike, speaking of you, I'm going to throw it to you first. Traquan Smith. Are you ready to drop him?
I think I'm ready to cut ties. Emmanuel Sanders making his presence known there, and Michael Thomas should be back. So, yep, I'm done.
Justin?
Agreed.
All right, now a little bit more difficult ones. T.Y. Hilton. Justin, I'm throwing it to you first. Are you ready to cut bait in a 12-team league with T.Y. Hilton?
I own the Ravens defense in a 12-team league that are on bye this week. I dropped T.Y. Hilton before last week's game so that I could pick up the defense I'm going to start this week ahead of time. So, yes, absolutely. If I'm dropping him for a backup defense, then I'm ready to drop him.
Clearly. And now I do got a question. Did anybody rush to pick him up?
Nope. Nobody. Okay. Nobody so far. And after him putting up, because it's non-PPR, so in that league, it was 1.1 points this week. And all Colts fans in this league, because I'm from Indiana, the Indy area, and so we're all Colts fans up here. And
so they all know he sucks this year.
As a matter of fact, here's how I acquired T.Y. Hilton to begin with. I owned Adam Thielen, and I picked up Zach Pascal after Campbell went down, and I was offered Tyreek Hill for Adam Thielen and Zach Pascal. But the deal was that I had to take T.Y. as well.
That's a deal breaker. No, I don't want T.Y. Nope. Not
because he didn't want to be the Indianapolis Colts fan that dropped T.Y. Hilton in this league. And I had to be that guy after we made the trade.
I would have done the trade as well. Mike, are you cutting bait with T.Y.?
I am. This is a guy that I didn't even have one piece of this year, gladly, and it didn't fall my way in the draft is the only reason I didn't have any shares of T.Y. Hilton. It's just I always had somebody that I liked edging him out, and then he'd get pulled out after that. So, but I imagine if I was a T.Y. Hilton owner, I think I'd be done. I don't think he fits in with that offense at all anymore. I think the guy's just kind of too old to play football now, you know what I mean? I hate saying that because I've always loved T.Y. Hilton. I just think it's time. I think they're going with the youth in that team more.
So I have an unhealthy amount of T.Y. Hilton. I will say for clarification purposes, it is dynasty. So it's not like I can just go out and cut bait with T.Y. willy-nilly because the rosters are so deep, he will immediately get scooped up just based on his name.
Just drop him, George. I'm in a dynasty leagues with you. Just drop him.
Like I said, between him and Keenan Allen, I think those are my two most owned wide receivers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm thrilled to death with Keenan Allen. Don't get me wrong. before his little back injury here, he was absolutely balling.
Hey,
so,
3 years ago, that was the combo to have right there, man. Like,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, not bad.
Here we go. Here's one that I know Steve was higher than me on coming in this year. I know our other co-host Jason was super high on this guy. I wasn't high on him this year. I know most of his points will normally come in 2 or 3 games the entire year, and the rest of the year he just kills you. Marvin Jones. Justin, are you ready to cut Marvin Jones?
Unfortunately, yeah. I've been hanging on to Matthew Stafford, hoping that it would eventually finally come around, and now I'm to the point where I'm ready to part ways with Matthew Stafford because they can't get that offense going at all. I will say that I'm kind of a little bit hesitant to drop him just because if this DeAndre Swift show is a real thing, it could really help open up that passing game more.
Yeah, it could.
So I guess if I have the space to hang on one more week, I might, but for the most part, I think that there could potentially be guys out there this week that I need more.
Mike, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because I'm actually dropping Marvin Jones in a league this week because I have the Baltimore offense or the Baltimore defense. I mean, so I'm in the same boat. I'm going to go grab a different defense, and I'm willing to cut ties with Marvin Jones. I'm going to do this. He's going to go out there. He's going to score 3 touchdowns this week. But that's the thing about Marvin Jones is he has that one big game in a week in the year. And then, he'll come back and score 2 the next week. And then he goes silent again, So I'm okay with this. I know I'm going to miss these points. I know I've been holding on to him, hoping that offense was going to take off. But like Justin was saying, I really can see Detroit really changing up their game plan if they start utilizing Swift the way they need to. And hopefully, if anybody can fuck it all up, it's Matt Patricia, though, too. So
that is true. So the last wide receiver, and like I said, I've got a bunch of wide receivers on the list. Last one I want to ask about is out there in Vegas, Hunter Renfrow. Mike, are you ready to cut bait with Hunter Renfrow in half-point PPR 12-team leagues?
Yeah, this is a guy who I'm really kind of surprised we still had bait on. Yeah, no, I'm out. I think that they have different options. I think Ruggs is the man there. Yeah, I'm out.
Justin?
Yeah, same.
I agree.
I mean, Ruggs, Waller, and
sorry, Neil.
Yep.
Sorry, Neil, but your boy's getting cut. All right, here's some tight ends. We'll burn through these real quick. See where you guys stand on these tight ends. First one is Logan Thomas in Washington. Are you guys cutting bait with Logan Thomas?
He scored this week, though.
So that means he won't do it again for another 3 or 4 weeks?
Right. Yeah. I'm out on him. Yep. He's one that I was streaming. I like streaming him, but I don't mind dropping him.
Yeah, so he burnt me twice earlier this season, so I dropped him already, and then he scores the touchdown, so now he's technically burnt me again. So no.
Let me know when you drop these guys, would you?
Gotcha.
All we're talking about is these 3. Like a tight end has one job, right?
Yep.
To go out there, get 3 catches for 33 yards. We talk about them being a good tight end if one of those 33-yard catches is in the end zone. That's the only thing that separates good tight ends from bad tight ends. They all get 3 for 33 every single game. Just some of them get that 33 in the end zone, and that makes them a 10-point tight end, and they're good. Logan Thomas is just a 3 for 33-er.
Okay, so Mike, with that said, what is Eric Ebron?
He's a 3 for 33-er. He's another one of those guys right in the same category.
All right. Justin, you feel the same way?
Yeah, before this season, I had literally seen almost every single snap of Eric Ebron in his career because my son's a Lions fan and I'm a Colts fan. So, and don't ask me how that happened. Like, you try to do what you think is right by your children and you hope they make the right decisions, but sometimes they're just a Lions fan. But anyway, so the thing is, though, Eric Ebron was never really that good at one important thing that tight ends are supposed to do, and that is catching the damn ball. So when he was really good that one season when he had Andrew Luck, who had a 2 tight end set in college and who loves throwing to his tight ends and utilized the tight ends like crazy. After that, he's back to being Eric Ebron.
Completely agree. The last one is, and I don't know if it's the name value that makes him hard to cut or if people are just believing he's better than he's actually been playing. A lot of people had this guy pegged in at the tight end 4 or 5 coming into the season. Justin, how about Tyler Higbee? Are you ready to cut bait with Tyler Higbee?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
It is.
Because, well, you know why? Because it's him or it's Everett, and sometimes it's both, and it's never neither. So, you have at least a 50% chance that your guy's going to do something, which is pretty good in this tight end landscape. Man, with all the injuries, I think if I still own him to this point, I probably have to keep him with everything that's going on with the free agency. But it's a reluctant keep.
Mike?
I'm on exact same thing, a reluctant keep. I don't want to have him, but I the thing I'm worried about is dropping this guy, watching this guy pick him up on the waiver wire and having him just do what he did last year, starting about week 8, week 9, and just start devastating. So,
yeah.
We're getting some input here from Steve. He's taking a break from his Fortune 7,000 company, and he's trying to climb that corporate ladder. I think he might be in the bathroom right now because
you're missed, brother. You're missed.
We appreciate you watching, Steve. I'm giving you a hard time. Lastly, we got a couple quarterbacks here. Andy Dalton. I know he looked like trash last night, but are you guys, after one game, are you ready to cut bait with Andy Dalton?
I'm ready to cut bait with Ezekiel Elliott. That's how bad I hated Dallas last night, dude. Oh my God. Dallas looked they looked like freaking Cleveland from 5 years ago. That was a shit show, man. I couldn't believe how bad Dallas looked. And I'm just kidding. That's me reacting, talking. I'm not going to cut. Come on, man. I love Ezekiel Elliott. But my good God, that offense is just dreadful.
Right.
Dreadful with Andy Dalton out there.
So I seen a tweet today from a blue check mark on Twitter, and I wish I remember who it was. Maybe it wasn't blue check mark. It was Elliot Chris. He retweeted somebody that said the Dallas players were keeping it to themselves, but after last night's performance, they were not happy with how unprepared the coaching staff was in Dallas. They're saying the coaching staffs are not preparing for these games properly, which I mean, stuff starts to leak when you're 2-4. Granted, you're still in the hunt in the NFC West for the or the NFC East rather for that division title, even at 2-4.
Lead in the division, they don't. That doesn't give them a 2-game lead. They have 2 wins. I thought that's all you had to do in that division. When
it's got to be close.
Playoffs clinched with the 2 wins.
I mean, listen. I'm actually looking at the standings right now. At 2-4, they are leading the division.
Yeah, I was going to say with the X in front of it too, right? Because they already have the division and the playoff spot.
It's close, but
Philadelphia is with -5.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Justin? After 1 week, what we seen last night on prime time, are you ready to cut bait with Andy Dalton?
So kind of unrelated in a way, but also kind of related. A buddy of mine sent me a message earlier through one of our chats, and he was thinking about the idea of this whole Tua to Fitz, them benching Fitz maybe has something to do with them trying to trade before the trade deadline to Dallas, Fitzpatrick. What do you think about that?
If I'm Dallas, I would absolutely try to make that trade. If Miami is all in on Tua, and I believe that they are, I still think it's too early for them to be bringing Tua. I've been saying all throughout the preseason, Tua's not going to get a start until after Miami's bye week. And looking at the original schedule, they played the Jets, who were atrocious. They had a bye week, and then they played the Jets again. So I originally thought that after their bye week from playing the Jets in week 11 was their bye week. I figured week 12 is when Tua would be starting. I didn't realize they would move the bye week to week 6 and give them week 7 as their bye week. But I did make the right call. It was after their bye week. If I am Dallas, I am 100% calling Miami and asking, what does it take to get Fitz from you? Right. I don't know if Miami will trade Fitz. Like, Miami absolutely loves Fitz. The team loves Fitz.
I think they actually have to trade him, though, because I believe Dallas is the one team that Fitzpatrick hasn't played for. So I think that they're obligated
that may be true.
Make that trade for that reason.
So
that may be true.
We're going to be talking about this tonight at 8:30, Mike, and I may have to steal that joke. That was pretty good.
Take it away.
But I don't know. Like, I remember Andy Dalton's days with the Bengals, and you guys please correct me if I'm wrong, but whenever Andy Dalton played in primetime with the Bengals, they played like trash.
Well, they kind of always did, didn't they?
I was going to say, is prime time anytime after 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Because it seemed like Andy Dalton was pretty good at sucking at 1 too.
I mean, so he came in when Dak got hurt, and he looked okay. Like, he didn't look great, but he looked a hell of a lot better than what we seen last night. I don't think I'm ready to cut. I'm not ready to cut bait on Andy Dalton just yet. I'm going to give it 2 more weeks before I'm ready to cut bait with him. Am I starting him? Only if I have to. If I can get, the next guy on my list of cut or keep, if he's available, I'll start him over Andy Dalton. Gardner Minshew. Are you guys cutting Gardner Minshew, or are you guys still keeping him on your team?
I'm sorry. Can I say one more thing real quick before Absolutely. We go to Gardner? Because now that we're really deep into this, I own in a 1 quarterback league, mind you. It's only 1 quarterback league. And for some reason, I own 4 quarterbacks because they kept popping up, and I was getting them before they got big. And it's like, I don't want to get rid of them. But I've got Justin Herbert. I have Cam Newton. I have Fitz. And now Andy Dalton, because I got him off of waivers last week, right after the So now, like, in that league, like, I have to drop Andy Dalton, but I also kind of really think I need to hang on to Fitz and hope that he gets traded. That's why I brought it up. Like, yeah. But that's a lot of quarterbacks to own. It is a deeper league. We do have a deeper bench, but it's insane that in a 1 quarterback league, because I'm the guy that always says you don't need more than 1 quarterback in a 1 quarterback league.
It's funny how often I dish that advice and how many quarterbacks I have on my benches after doing so, right? Like, you should never play like me because I never win championships. Like, don't be like me. I can't help it.
So I'm speaking of quarterbacks, right? I'm looking at one of our dynasty leagues. One of the guys in this league has Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Matt Ryan, and Andy Dalton as his quarterbacks in a single quarterback league.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So, and he's got Daniel Jones on his taxi squad, which I don't know why we're still allowing Daniel Jones to be on the taxi squad. I feel like he's not a rookie. So
probably
I may have to address the tax. I'm the commissioner of this league. So I may have to address this. But
I'm in have 1 to 3 year, like 1 to 3 year barriers on them, not just rookies.
Yeah,
or
no,
I'm not. They have to have more touchdowns than they do fumbles.
Yes.
Right.
So in this same league, like, my quarterbacks I have a ton of quarterbacks as well. Clearly, it's a deep bench. But my quarterbacks are nothing stellar. I've got Gardner Minshew, Phillip Rivers, Nick Foles, Alex Smith, and I got Tua on my taxi squad because he's a rookie. So I can keep him on my taxi squad. So I've got a bunch of quarterbacks in that league as well. But I think the level of quarterback, Foles, Rivers, and Gardner does not equal Ryan, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson.
Right. Yeah, especially 1 quarterback.
Yeah, in 1 quarterback leagues, don't unless you have super deep benches, which, like, we have 30-man rosters for this league. So unless it's super deep like that, never carry more than one quarterback. All right, let's move into. Oh, thank you, baby. Let's move right into our waiver ads now. These are guys that I'm going to throw out. Recommend that we do pick these guys up. If they're on your waivers, I'll give you the percentage that they're owned. I'll give you, all the information you need about these guys. First off, injuries. You got Baker Mayfield, who's dealing with a rib injury. I really don't know if he's going to play this week or not. He was pulled last week on Sunday. Sam Darnold's dealing with a shoulder injury. On a bye, we've got Lamar Jackson, Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he's more than on a bye. He's actually on the bench, which I'm not, like I said earlier, not too thrilled that bench fits this early. I think he deserves a little bit more of a leash there, especially being 3-3 and competitive in 2 of the 3 games that they lost. Kirk Cousins, and then I don't think anybody's starting Phillip Rivers, but if you are in a 2-quarterback league, he is on a bye. The guys we already talked about, potential drop candidates. I didn't even ask about this one. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Are you guys going to drop Fitzpatrick now that he's been benched?
Hell no. I'm a ride or die Fitzpatrick guy.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's like bad karma, bad fantasy football karma.
Right. He's going to go start somewhere. You just got to wait a couple weeks. He'll eventually he'll go somewhere and he'll play football.
Like I said, my move there is to drop Andy Dalton to try to pick up Tua, and then hope that Fitz gets traded to Dallas. That would be perfect.
I dig it.
So here's some guys we recommend you pick up for streaming this week. But clearly the first one we hinted at already, Tua Tagovailoa. I think I pronounced that right. We'll just call him Tua for short. It's such a hard name to pronounce. Listen, I struggle with last names. Like I'll butcher a name. It doesn't even matter. Tua, I have him as my number 1 waiver wire pickup. It's not that he's going to do you any good this week, but going forward, like he is a starting quarterback. Miami's got 1 or 2 more kind of difficult games. And then after that, like their schedule completely opens up and it's not bad at all. So if Tua's available, I would say add him. He's only rostered about 20% of leagues. For this week and this week only, I know we talked a little bit about Carson Wentz not having any not really having any offensive weapons there. But is he somebody you guys would look to pick up this week? He's got the New York Giants on Thursday night, I believe, so it's a primetime game. The Giants, are not a very good defense against quarterbacks. He posted 21 fantasy points in four of his last games. So 4 games in a row, he's got 21 fantasy points. Expected to get Deshaun Jackson and maybe possibly Goddard back this week. Is he somebody you're interested in?
Well, for me, yeah, I'm because I'm a big time Lamar Jackson owner, and this is one guy I keep seeing coming up on all my waivers. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with Carson Wentz being a replacement for Jackson for this week only. So,
how about you, Justin?
I'd be okay with it for 1 week. I do see another quarterback that's owned or unowned in a lot of leagues that we're probably going to get to in a minute that I would rather have, but I would probably have him second on my list. Justin Herbert's still available in 41% of ESPN leagues. I don't know about.
Wow, that's criminal.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, so yeah, I would definitely much rather have him this week going against Jacksonville. But Carson Wentz, I think, will be an adequate fill-in if I can't get my hands on Herbert.
I completely agree. If you can't get Herbert for this week, listen, you start your players against Jacksonville, right? Like they are an atrocious defense. I'm all for starting all your players against Jacksonville. Start your players against Dallas. Start your players against the Falcons. Like just start it and don't think about it. The matchups are just so good. The defenses are so bad. I love the Herbert call. If he is available, for sure, he is the number one quarterback pickup this week.
Yeah, I definitely like him over Wentz as well, too.
For sure. Actually, here's another guy I kind of like against over Wentz as well. I'm not sure I'm 100% in on the guy, but the matchup is pretty good. That is Derek Carr. He's having a pretty decent season. He scored at least 20 fantasy points, 24 fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. He gets Tampa Bay, which is not the greatest matchup, but it's so hard to run on Tampa that I think he's going to end up having to throw the ball. And the way Tampa is able to put up points, I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see it.
He's got 11 touchdowns on the season, only 1 interception. So not overly concerned with turnovers. I think Derek Carr is somebody I can roll out this week in a pinch if I needed to. If I have Lamar, all those other guys that I mentioned. If you're starting Kirk Cousins, if you're worried about Baker Mayfield, good God, you shouldn't be starting Sam Darnold. Don't do that. You can cut him. But yeah, if Derek Carr's out there and you need somebody on a bye week, like I think you can get away with Derek Carr this week.
I'd put a couple dollars on him, and because if you miss out on him, you're still going to have guys like possibly Drew Lock, the Bears guy Nick Foles is probably still. I don't even know who Foles plays this week, but I mean, you're going to have a guy to start. Carr is definitely better than those guys, so I'd put a few dollars on him.
Nick Foles gets the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, well, maybe a few more dollars.
Drew Lock actually has a pretty decent matchup. He gets the KC. So I expect that to
KC's buckling down a little bit.
Yeah, but I still expect Drew Lock to have to throw the ball to stay in the game.
Yeah, they won't stay.
Daniel Jones is kind of interesting. It's not somebody I want to play this week. If for some reason, if I'm in a league and there's nobody better than Daniel Jones, like his matchup against Philadelphia is really not terrible. Even though he's been playing terrible, for every 2 interceptions, Daniel Jones is throwing 1 touchdown. So those are statistics that you really don't want in your starting quarterback. But with as banged up as Philadelphia is, they're 23rd against the quarterback. I don't know. I think you could throw Daniel Jones as a break glass in case of emergency quarterback this week.
Yeah, which is what you're in the bye weeks. I don't mind him. That's good enough in a pinch too. Quarterbacks are a dime a dozen, man. That's why having a few of them on a single draft probably is a bad idea because you can get them. But again, like I say, I tell people not to do it, yet I do it. So
do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
So the next one we're going to go over here is probably one of the most important positions in fantasy, in my opinion. That is my favorite position. We're going to go over kickers. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to go over the running back position. Kevin, I'll get to your question here in just a minute. Injuries of note. So there were some couple big injuries this week. Miles Sanders is dealing with a knee. He's expected to miss a couple weeks. Raheem Mostert's got a high ankle sprain. So they're expecting him to miss 4 to 6 weeks. He's out. Like they're talking about putting him on IR. I think they should absolutely put him on the IR, knowing he's going to be out that long with that high ankle sprain. Dalvin Cook is dealing with a groin injury. We expect that minor. After everybody blew their fab on Madison and he gave them nothing. Dalvin Cook's expected to be back. Not this week, but next week, and they're on a bye this week anyway, so that kind of does help him. Joe Mixon's got a foot injury. We expect him to play. Melvin Gordon has had an injury or an illness, being he was probably still hungover from his DUI. McCaffrey, a little bit of news on him. He's still dealing with the ankle. They've already ruled him out this week, so fire up your Davis shares. Austin Eckler still got the hamstring. We all know about Chubb. Mark Ingram's got the ankle. They say it's minor. they're on a bye this week anyway. I expect it to be healthy before they come back. Leonard Fournette dealing with an ankle. I don't know what to think about Leonard Fournette. Like, he's got all the talent in the world, but Tampa just keeps saying he's injured. I don't know if he is or not, but I mean, he had that one good game. Everybody was starting to buy in.
Raquel Armstead.
I'm convinced Raquel Armstead is dead.
Yeah,
like COVID took him. He's gone. He's the only guy I know that's been on the COVID list for like 9 months now.
All right.
He had COVID before anybody in the U.S. He was the super spreader. He was case numero uno.
Yeah. Raquel Armstead is actually a bat.
Yes. At this point, he is. So guys on bye, a couple big names here, a couple guys you've been relying on. You've been relying on quite a bit. Dalvin Cook, Madison, surprising Myles Gaskin. If you've got him, you drafted him real late or got him off the waivers after week 1 or week 2. Like, congratulations. That dude has been super consistent for you. Jonathan Taylor, hopefully they can work with him and get him going after the bye week. Justin, what are they doing with Jonathan Taylor?
So my opinion is that they know that rookie running backs aren't typically used to, playing a full 16 games plus the playoffs. So maybe they're trying to, because if you look at some of their games, it's a dead even split between the 3 backs there, between Wilkins and Taylor and Hines. So it's almost a dead even split. And then Taylor is obviously outperforming the others because he's talented. But I think that's a lot of it. I think they're saving him for the end of the season. And when they're ready to make that charge, make that go for the run for the playoffs, they're going to finally release him. But that doesn't do us a lot of good as fantasy owners now. But you have to hang on to him. You spent a higher draft pick than usual for a rookie running back to get him. And he's shown potential. Now you just got to hang on to him and hope that I'm right on that.
Yeah. Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins. Talk about another backfield that's just a mess. Like, we have a lot of backfields that we feel like should be crystal clear, and they're just a mess. You got the we mentioned, the Patriots. I would say the Rams is a little bit of a mess, but man, you got the Ravens is a mess. Indianapolis is a mess. Like, it's just, you would think these would be clear, but they're not. They're playing everybody in quite a bit of snaps at that. Let's go over the guys to see the priority pick list. And my number 1 pickup this week, if he's available, I don't think he is. He's owned in a ton of leagues. But if you're in that 17% where DeAndre Swift is available, go get him. Spend all your fab on DeAndre Swift. He's absolutely worth it. I said this weekend I would start DeAndre Swift over Joe Mixon. I did it in a league, and I felt great about it. Like, over 100 yards. First running back in Detroit to run for over 100 yards in years. Literally years was DeAndre Swift. He also busted out, I think he had 2 touchdowns. Is that right?
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. And I can attest to that because I'm in a group chat with you, and you said that before kickoff that you were starting Swift over Mixon, and the whole game long you reminded us. So,
yep. I also tweeted it earlier in the week. So I put it out there on Twitter. Starting Swift over Mixon, no regrets. And I have 0 regrets on Swift. He was somebody I was extremely high on coming into this week. The matchup against Jacksonville was absolutely fantastic. I loved seeing Adrian Peterson on the sideline while Swift was just out there doing his thing. Another guy, he's highly owned, Jerick McKinnon. What's going on with Raheem Mostert? I'm not sure if Tevin Coleman's expected to be coming back, but even still, I think, it's the most 2020 thing ever for Jerick McKinnon to be the one running back on the 49ers who never gets hurt.
Right. Facts. Like, for sure. That's just crazy. Like, McKinnon is going to make it through the season. Highly unlikely, but it's looking like it so far.
Yeah. So, Mike, I want to throw it to you real quick. How interested are you picking up on Justin Jackson this week?
I liked his usage. I think I'm pretty high on him as far as with Eckler being gone. I think he gets most of the workload there. I think I like Kelly a lot too, but I think I'd probably be about 10-20% of my fab on him.
Yeah, he's got the Jaguars this week, so I think he's only rostered in 60% of leagues. So you've got a 4 in 10 chance that he's actually on your waivers. If he is, I think he's an absolute must add and a must start this week. Justin, I'm going to move right along here because I know we're going a little long, and I promised I'd get these questions, so I absolutely will. Oh, we got a call. I'm sorry. Mike, let's go ahead and do the call.
They're off. They're actually they hung up, so we're good to go. Quick.
Sorry, I'm not paying attention to the screen here because I'm going over the notes. So I apologize for that, caller. If you want to call back, we'll get you right through 205-797-5337. Kevin wants to know real quick, guys, what's your outlook on Higgins and Fulgham? Rest of season wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s. Justin, I'll throw it to you first.
Definitely with T. Higgins. He loves Higgins. He's throwing to Higgins all day. He's only going to AJ Green if Higgins isn't open. Like it's almost like they're switching roles already. So definitely Higgins as a solid wide receiver 2. Fulgham, again, there's nothing else there, so it's very possible just by sheer opportunity that he could continue to maintain. I wouldn't trust him as more than a wide receiver 3 and then just be really happy when he does get the touchdowns. But yeah, I can dig it.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, about the same. I think actually these guys have really high potential to be low end 1s, high end 2s. If they can stay respective in there, if they can just keep being the guy that their quarterbacks are making them be, and they can stay on that field, I think they both have a really good shot of finishing, 10 to 12 somewhere in that window, maybe all the way down to 14, 15 somewhere in there. Like I said, as long as they can keep out there and keep what they're doing, I completely can see it.
Yeah, I'm a little lower on Higgins than you guys. I like Higgins. I've got him in a 16-team league. He's been absolutely fantastic. I'm going to view him more as a back-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3, though. It's just with people coming back, getting healthy, it's so difficult to move him all the way up to wide receiver 2 for me. If AJ Green gets traded or is no longer on the team or injured, I will absolutely view Higgins as an absolute wide receiver 2, no doubt. But right now, I'm going to go conservative on him, and I'll probably be conservative on Fulgham as well. I got him as a back-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3. Fulgham, for me, I've got him. He's a flex play. He's not somebody I want to trust putting in my wide receiver 3 spot. I don't mind flexing him if I have to, but with everybody coming back for that team, supposedly Dallas Goedert's going to be back. Deshaun Jackson's coming back. Alshon Jeffrey's coming back. Like, I don't know. It just, if they stay healthy, it's going to bump Fulgham down. I don't see him being as high as a wide receiver 3 for me. I trust him as a flex.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And they do have a history of staying healthy in Philadelphia.
Yes, exactly. Listen, it couldn't happen to a greater team. Sorry, Philly fans, if you're watching or listening. Like, y'all booed Santa. This is fantasy karma. Okay. Kevin says, stuck with Juju, trying to trade for a Lunchable and a great Fago. Yeah, listen, I'll give you the Lunchable. You ain't getting my great Fago. Sorry, that's just not happening. Trade.
In like the last 25 years, Fago's the only soda that hasn't raised their price. There's too much value there.
Absolutely. You got to keep the consistency. DJ Please, a.k.a. Al. What's up, Al? Al joined us last night on the watch party. I own Jonnu. Do I look for another tight end this week? I don't think you do. I think Jonnu's going to play.
Yeah, I'm hearing that it wasn't really all that serious of a sprain, but at the same time, it's also a sprain. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, if you got the roster spot, you might pick up a guy just in case, and that guy is probably the backup for Tennessee. I mean, I can't even pronounce his name. That Ferksker.
Ferksker.
Yeah, so you might pick him up just in case, like if there's, I don't know.
I think Jonnu plays. Al, I'm not doing it. I'm playing Jonnu. Play your stud.
Yeah, and the other thing too is if there is a last second switch, you should have time. Like when do they play? What's their schedule? I got it right here actually.
Okay, I was getting ready to pull it up, but you got it.
Yeah, I got it. So Tennessee plays. They play the 1:00 game, so you're going to have plenty of options if he does bail out, last minute or whatever. You find out just before kickoff, you can go pick up his backup or any other backup.
Yeah. So trust your stud. I think you're good with Jonnu there, Al. So sounds like so does Justin. How about Boston Scott? Like he's somebody I want to pick up, but the opportunity he's already had this year with the game that Sanders missed, he was not very impressive. No. The matchup is fantastic. They're 20. He gets the Giants again on Thursday night. They're 25th against running backs. Do you trust picking up and playing Boston Scott this week?
I do not. No, and it's even, like you said, deeper than that one game. This past game, whenever Sanders went out, he had pretty much the whole second half. And granted, I know it was Baltimore, but he had less than 1 point if you're only going by yards. Like if it's a non-PPR, less than 2 points or less than 3 points in PPR. So he had 4 total touches. So, I mean, I don't know. In 6 quarters of him being the guy with Sanders out, he has, I don't know, less than 10 points.
Yeah. So when he played week 1 when Sanders was out, he managed 9 carries for 35 yards. He had and 2 catches for 19. So
and Washington wound up being a little better at stopping the run than we had originally thought.
Yeah,
but it still looked ugly.
Yeah, it was not impressive. Last year in the 2 games against the Giants, Scott combined for 48 PPR points. So he balled out against the Giants in 2 games last year. Does that give you any more confidence in him or
no?
No,
not
right.
Really. Especially with that offensive line too. Like like we've been saying, like there's nothing there. Like he needs a supporting cast, and he's a guy that's used to being the supporting cast. Like I don't know. I don't like it. I don't trust it.
Yeah, I'm not super confident when they called the peanut guy in to play left tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's because the beer guy was already taken, right?
Right.
Yeah, beer guy was fullback.
Yeah.
Yep. So, how about Gio Bernard against the Browns? I feel like Gio Bernard is just disrespected. I don't know if it's the mustache or what it is, but this is a guy who, he was drafted in the 2nd round. I don't know how many people actually remember that, but he was a high draft pick. He was talented coming out of college. Mixon's got that ankle that may, cut back a little bit more of his workload and allow Bernard to get in for a few more touches. What do you guys think?
I mean, if Mixon's gonna miss time, then he's definitely worth it. I don't know. It's Gio Bernard,
Yeah.
But if you're looking, I will say this much: if you're looking at waivers right now to try to pick up a running back, then you're hurting. Like at this point, like you plan ahead for running backs, especially more than anything in fantasy football. If you didn't plan ahead, then you're in one of those tight spots where you're suffering the injury and you weren't expecting the COVID to switch your bye week, something crazy, and you're desperate. So I would take him. Cleveland is a lot better at stopping the run than they are the pass. I'll say that. But Gio's pretty active in the passing game as well. So I can trust him for a bye week fill-in.
Yeah, if Mixon should miss time, and this is all hypothetical because, we expect him to play. Right. Dating back to 2017, Joe Mixon's gotten at least 12 PPR points in 6 games that he's had double-digit touches. So if Mixon is out, the matchup is is not a great matchup. The Browns' run defense is literally middle of the pack. They're 16th against the running back, so they're smack dab right in the middle. But Gio Bernard,
you spent your entire lunch break today working on that stat, didn't you?
I did. I absolutely did. I had to use my hands and my toes. I ran out of phalanges.
George.
But yeah, no. If Mixon's out, I'm okay with Bernard. In a desperation, all my guys are injured or on bye. I honestly don't hate Dio for that case as well. But he's not somebody I'm going to try to get fancy with. The last guy, actually two guys I really want to talk about real quick. Mike, I'm going to throw it to you first. J.D. McKissick, Washington running back. They go against Dallas this week. He's been getting quite a bit of work alongside Antonio Gibson. Is McKissick somebody you're interested in?
Actually, yeah, I think he's been looking better than Gibson, honestly, out there. He's been doing more with the football, more with the opportunity. So yeah, oddly enough, I'm on the McKissick train. I think I don't mind that grab, especially right now this late in the game.
Justin?
I haven't been able to dig into the last game, the last Washington game very much, but just looking at the highlights, I mean, he does look explosive, which is odd to say about a receiving back that turned into more of a every down back. But I mean, I don't mean that to say he's an every down back, but he's developing more into a guy that can play any down.
So in PPR leagues is where I feel real comfortable with McKissick and with all these bye weeks and injuries. He had a season high carries, 8, which is not, that's not that impressive. But 8 touches on the ball, that, you'll take that from somebody that you're getting. But what impressed me the most is his 6 catches and 6 targets. You're telling me the dude's getting six targets a game coming out the backfield. I'll take that all day long. He had 43 receiving yards, 84 total yards, so he almost broke 100 combined yards. Like, in non-PPR leagues and standard scoring leagues, there's not much value there. But in PPR leagues, he's averaging almost 11 points a game. 11 points a game in his last 3 games. So he's right on the cusp. And going against Dallas, I feel like, yeah, you could start him against Dallas. He'll probably punch one in this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The last guy for running backs I really wanted to talk about is LaMichael Pirine, rookie for the Jets. And before anybody laughs at me, yes, I completely understand it is the Jets. They're garbage, but they let go of Le'Veon Bell. Frank Gore is getting the starts, but Pirine is getting worked in. And this past week, he had 11 carries for 46 yards and 4 catches for 24 yards on 4 targets. That was Gore. Pirine had 7 carries for 27 yards and 2 catches for 9 on 3 targets. Pirine played 58% of the snaps. Gore was only at 35. And Adam Gase is already on record saying that there is going to be more work coming Pirine's way. I understand it's the Jets. Is he somebody you're interested in as a stash?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who's going to get that kind of a workload. And it's interesting to see what this backfield is doing with 2 rookies, with Frank Gore celebrating his rookie season still. I believe he's on his 25th season of his rookie year. And because, we're going to have Frank Gore long until me and you and Justin are old and gray and stuff like that. He'll finally be in the veteran status of things. I love the Frank Gore. I love that he's still out there playing football and he's still out there being tough. I just think that Pirine's probably going to be the future, and I think that's the statement they were trying to make with the Le'Veon Bell release.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught this or when they said it or whatever, but Frank Gore has a competition going on currently with his son, Frank Gore Jr., who plays at Southern Mississippi. So they're having a competition between the 2 of them to see who can get the most rushing yards this season, and that blows my mind. But anyhow, the question here is P. Ryan, and I will say that my co-host over at Toilets to Titles, John, he has been on the LaMichael P. Ryan bandwagon since, and I mean there wasn't even a bandwagon, so like I guess he's driving it, like he created this bandwagon back in the off season, and obviously we weren't expecting it to happen because Bell got cut, but at the same time he is really high on him, so there had to be a reason, So I'm gonna trust that John can evaluate rookie players because he's done pretty well with it in the past. So yeah, based on that alone, I'm gonna trust him.
So I wonder if this is going to turn into a James Robinson situation. Like you've got the established top tier running back that the team just does not like. Like Jacksonville, like they were done with Leonard Fournette. I'm surprised that they didn't trade him in the offseason. We all expected him to get traded. They finally just said, fuck it. You know what? We're not even going to deal with you no more. We're just going to cut you. And we all know Adam Gase's track record with Le'Veon Bell. Like he did not want him on the team. He did not want them to sign him. He wanted absolutely nothing to do with him. They finally cut him. Yeah, you got Frank Gore there, but I'm wondering if like P. Ryan can kind of carve out a James Robinson type role. I mean, it's to be determined, but yeah, definitely somebody I want on my roster for sure. I might even start him this week if I'm in a pinch where half of my team is injured or on bye, which could plausibly happen.
If your team isn't like that, you haven't been playing fantasy in 2020.
This is true. This is absolutely true. A couple other guys keep your eye on, monitor their situations. JaMychal Hasty, I know San Francisco really likes this kid. He is a rookie. He's got a tough matchup against New England. He's not somebody I'm saying go out and pick up, but just somebody to keep an eye on. Gus Edwards is on a bye. If he's available, you may want to pick him up just in case if that Ingram ankle, is worse than we're being led on. If it's just Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, I'm absolutely wheels up with Gus Edwards because they're going to split, and it won't be a three-way split. If you're desperate, there's always the Frank Gore revenge game against Buffalo. I think I would prefer P. Ryan over Gore, but Gore is out there. He's only owned in 37% of leagues. Look at P. Ryan. What's he ordered? So P. Ryan's rostered in 32% of leagues. Gore's rostered in 37. That's what you need to know about the Jets running back situation to this point. I think P. Ryan will get more play as the year goes on. And I think they'll actually be a lot better once they fire Adam Gase. Moving on to wide receivers. Michael Thomas dealing with the ankle. Do you guys know if he's expected back?
He was supposed to be back the week before the bye week, but
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He went all MMA on his teammates. That's right. I forgot about that.
Which I think it was a lie. I think it was an excuse because Peyton didn't throw him on the IR like a jackwagon. Pretend you punch somebody, please, for me.
Keenan Allen's dealing with the back injury. I've read that it is minor, not anything serious. Devontae Parker has a groin. Take that for what you will.
Every NFL player has a groin, George.
I cannot confirm nor deny this. Darius Slayton's dealing with the foot. Deontay Johnson's dealing with a back injury. I actually heard he's back at practice. They expect him to play this week. Shocking. Sammy Watkins dealing with the hamstring. Alan Lazard got an abdominal injury. Hopefully he'll be back within the next week or two. I actually picked him up in a 16-team league where some guy dropped him. And my team I'm 6-0 now. But I got to add Alan Lazard for free because somebody dropped him like a butthead. I want to thank them for that. Guys on bye, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Devontae Parker, and Preston Williams. So it gives Devontae Parker that week to heal the groin that he has. T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, and Marquise Brown. Some of the guys to see if they're available. If they are, these are the guys I would probably be looking to add first. Brandon Cooks is rostered in 79% of leagues. Deebo Samuel, 76. T. Higgins, 74. Henry Ruggs, 72. Justin, out of that group, Cooks, Debo, Higgins, Ruggs, can you put them in order for your waiver priority?
I think it's going to be Debo, Ruggs, Cooks, Higgins, and if there's any others that I missed, then I probably missed them for a reason.
No, it was just those three. Or four, I'm sorry, those four.
I'll put
Mike,
them in that order because I'm also thinking, because any one of them could be good for 1 week this week if I need them. But if they do well, then I think that's the order they could potentially be kept for a longer period of time too.
Mike, what say you? Can you put in order for your waiver priority Brandon Cooks, Debo, T. Higgins, and Henry Ruggs?
Brandon Cooks for sure at the top because I feel like his usage is just going to continue. Ruggs for number 2 for me because I feel like he's the number 1 on that team. Pick your poison for the last 2 on that one. Like as far as you're basically talking about the same guy once you get past that depth for me.
Okay. So I agree with Mike. Brandon Cooks is my 1. I think I got Henry Ruggs 2, Debo 3, and T. Higgins 4. Like I said, if they were going to get rid of AJ Green, so they're not targeting AJ Green, I would definitely move Higgins way up the list. Did you guys see that John Ross has asked for a trade?
I did not. No, that'd be cool. Go put him somewhere else. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I have John Ross in a lot of Dynasty.
Yeah, he's been inactive for the last 3 games, and he's requested a trade. Whether he gets one or not, I don't know. But former first round pick, just hasn't been able to put it together so far. And I just seen earlier today he asked for a trade.
Trade him to Philly. Philly could use a young Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, they absolutely could. Knowing not Cleveland, Cincinnati, they'll trade him to Tampa because Tampa needs a speedy wide receiver on the outside. It's a couple waiver guys to pick up. I'm shocked he's only owned 57%. For some reason, I thought this would be higher. Travis Fulgham at the Giants this Thursday. Year to date, 18 receptions on 26 targets, 284 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's only averaging 21.5 points a game.
Only,
yes. What do you guys? I know we've talked about Fulgham throughout the show. Where would you put him as far as a wide receiver, Justin? 1, 2, 3 flex.
I trust him as a wide receiver 3, even rest of the season, because I just don't trust that those guys are going to be able to stay healthy. And even if they are, he's shown enough to me to make me feel like he's talented enough. Like, think about all of the excitement that came in with JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Like, we all expected him to be something, and he hasn't been anything. And then out of nowhere, Travis Fulgham says, "You know what? I'll be the guy." So
he had a touchdown last week too. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah, he had a touchdown. Didn't even count in a best ball league I'm in because it was a miscellaneous touchdown. It didn't even count for me.
It didn't even count. That's too funny. That's funny.
In a stat line for Arcega-Whiteside, 0 receptions, 0 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 fantasy points.
Oh no, he had 8 fantasy points because he had a 2-point conversion too.
Right?
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
2 points.
It doesn't count as a catch or the 3 yards.
That's the most obscure stat line ever. 0, 0, 0, 8 points.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on board with you with Fulgham. I can see him being a wide receiver 3 rest of the season. At this point, you almost kind of have to believe in the guy. His past 2 games against the Steelers and the Ravens, who I've been told are pretty good defenses. Fulgham has 16 catches for 227 yards and 2 touchdowns on 23 targets. I expect the targets to go down a little, but absolutely trust him as a wide receiver 3 going forward. Their schedule opens up a little bit, and like I said, it opens up starting this Thursday against the Giants. They're 26th against opposing wide receivers. If he's available on your waivers, he definitely go out and get you So try to fold them. Next we got is Tim Patrick for the Denver Broncos. They're up against Kansas City. He's only rostered in 42% of leagues. Where do you view? Yeah, I thought it would be higher. It's not. Cortland Sutton, as we know, he's out with the ACL. In the 3 games without Sutton, Patrick has 14 catches for 257 yards, 2 touchdowns on 19 targets. He scored at least 14 points, 14 points in each outing. How do you guys view him? Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, or flex?
Definitely a solid 2 for the rest of the season. I feel like he's going to fill that Cortland Sutton role. I think Drew Lock, I think this Broncos organization is just dreadful. And I'm a diehard Broncos fan saying that. But I think they're going to be behind in a lot of games, behind in a lot of situations. They're going to have to throw the ball a whole awful lot. And who better to throw it to than him? I think Tim Patrick and Noah Fant are going to be game changers for the rest of the season.
What's that?
I kind of feel like we're reverting back to preseason here, only we're subbing Sutton for Patrick. And that, because we also have Judy on the other side and we have that good running game, and we just kind of feel like they're going to click. And I guess eventually they probably will, but they still haven't yet, right? But it is interesting to see that you're a Broncos fan, though. I'm being a Colts fan. We have that Peyton Manning tie, so I respect that, and I can't wait until we'll have to wait till after the show because we're running out of time. But I want to see what the Peyton Manning connection, that whole 7 steps of Kevin Bacon to Josh Allen.
Yeah, excellent.
I can't wait to hear it.
Let me think on that one. That might be the best challenge yet, right there.
Next we have Christian Kirk. They're up against Seattle, who is the worst against wide receivers in the NFL. He's only rostered 65% of leagues. Against Kirk started out slow, but he scored a combined 44 PPR points the last 3 games against Carolina, Jets, and Dallas. Now, granted, those 3 teams are not world beaters on defense. Carolina's average, the Jets and Dallas are both atrocious. And here comes Seattle, who is also atrocious. Justin, I'll throw this one to you first. How are you viewing Christian Kirk for the rest of the season?
I kind of view him as a wide receiver 3. I'd like to like him more, but for all the reasons you said, you really can't. And I know he scored well against Dallas, but he had 2 catches for 2 touchdowns, 86 yards. Like that's a fluke. Dallas is pitiful. They've lost their locker room. It's just that game is what it is. But against the Jets, 7 targets, 5 catches, that's good. 5 targets, 3 catches, that's good. Like, he's being utilized. They're going to use him, but there's nothing dynamic that's just absolutely standing out to me. Agreed.
Mike, I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. I want to throw this next one to you. It's somebody we've already talked about a little bit, but I want to say they had a breakout game this week. Some people are hopeful that this will be a continuing trend. I don't know if it will be or not. AJ Green, excuse me. He's owned in 55% of leagues. He's going up against the 30th ranked pass defense in Cleveland. This week he had 11 targets and finished with 8 catches and 96 yards. What are you expecting from AJ Green?
Probably about the same. He's getting the volume. He's been getting the volume all season long. So I don't mind having AJ Green on my team again. It's weird saying it like this because it's friggin' AJ Green we're talking about, right? Like, this guy's a stud. He's a dynamic stud on top of that. So I think if he's starting to get in the swing of things over there, I think he's definitely worth rostering for sure. And Peyton Manning was a Bronco who had the 6th round option, and Josh Allen went in the 7th. So Josh Allen should technically be a freaking Bronco. That's my I had to reach for that one, Justin. I had to. Yeah, I had nothing else. Broncos should have drafted Josh Allen, though. What the hell were they thinking?
that was, I mean, that was a reach, but you made me laugh, so we'll count it. I'll think of some others.
Yes, that is fantastic. A couple other guys. These are my in case of emergency break glass guys, not guys that I'm spending a whole bunch of my fab money on. I'm not spending high waivers on. If I have one of those aforementioned wide receivers who are either on bye or injured or whatnot, and I need to pick somebody up, these are guys you could find in, they're rostered in less than 60% of leagues. So there's a good chance they are probably on your waiver wires, at least one of them. Mike Williams, he could be the number one wide receiver for the Chargers if Allen is out. They get the Jaguars this week, so pay attention to that. The greatest white wrapper in all of the NFL, Cole Beasley, he gets the New York Jets this week. They are 21st against the pass. He's rostered in 60% of – excuse me, sorry, I got the burpsies here. He's rostered in 60% of leagues. He's definitely a wide receiver 3 for me. You're hoping he falls into the end zone. Otherwise, he's probably going to give you a stat line of like 5 receptions for 63 yards. And while that's not impressive in a PPR league, it's 11.3 points. You'll take that from your wide receiver 3. A guy that has been widely overlooked, I feel, in most leagues, Keelan Cole. He's rostered in only 32% of leagues. I kept saying he's the wide receiver. He's really the wide receiver 3 in Jacksonville. And Laviska Shenault is the 2, and Chark is the 1. But Keelan Cole's been playing like the wide receiver 2 all year. So I'm still not ready to move Shenault up on the depth chart, even though he probably deserves it. Keelan Cole's just been, pretty fantastic for you most weeks. He's averaging 13.6 points. He had a breakout performance in week 6 against Detroit with 6 catches for 143 yards and 9 targets. He scored at least 15 PPR points in 3 of his 6 games. He's somebody that Minshew really, really likes. Preston Williams, we mentioned earlier about the fact that Devontae Parker has a groin. If that groin injury is going to sideline Devontae Parker at all, I think Preston Williams is actually going to feast with Tua. Tua is a lot more accurate quarterback than Fitz. Fitz will throw it down the field. I don't think that is Preston Williams' strength. I know he's a big guy. I know he can go up and get the ball. But I think having a more accurate quarterback for Preston Williams is actually going to help him a lot more than it will help Parker. Let me see. Anybody else here worth talking about? We talked about Deshaun Jackson coming back this week, going up against the Giants. I'm not starting Deshaun Jackson, especially first week back. I don't recommend you do either. If you're desperate, you can go get him. I'm not somebody I'm really interested in. Corey Davis is finally cured of COVID. He might need to get with Raquel Armstead, give him the treatment, let him know what he did.
Who? Exactly. Quit asking about Raquel Armstead, George.
I'm trying to save this man's life, Mike.
Hey, no, you just stay out of this. You're going in over your head here, okay? You just leave Raquel Armstead out of this.
All right. We're going to move right into tight ends here. Injuries to note. Jonnu Smith has an ankle. We're expecting him to be fine. Zach Ertz has an ankle. He's going to miss quite a bit of time. Noah Fant has an ankle. We expect him to play, right, Mike?
Yep, he looks like he should be back.
Okay. Dallas Goedert has got an ankle. Justin, are we expecting Dallas Goedert to play?
I mean, if there's even a slight chance that he could, and that is he's not going to really have too much of a risk of injury again, I think they almost have to. They don't really have any other options. If anything, they need him to go in to play guard. Like, they just need a body.
They got Jake Kroom. Kroom's back in the situation I saw.
Didn't they sign Rodgers too? The former Green Bay tight end?
Richard Rodgers.
Yeah, Richard Rodgers. From Rodgers' Hail Mary fame. Remember when he threw that Hail Mary and Rodgers went up and caught it? I think they were playing Detroit, weren't they, Justin?
I believe so, yes.
Yep, the Rodgers Mr. Rogers connection.
Yep.
Yep. That's like 56 yards, if I remember right.
Yep. Mike, I want you to put these in order of priority for waiver guys. These are guys that are owned in over 60% of leagues. Noah Fant, Hayden Hurst, Jared Cook, and I'm going to throw Rob Gronkowski in there. All of them are owned in over 60% of leagues. What is your waiver priority list on these guys if they're available?
Fant, Gronkowski, Hurst, and whoever the last guy was. I can't remember who that was, but he was last on
Jared
my list.
Cook.
Okay. Jared Cook, yep, last.
Justin, same to you.
I'm so sorry. I honestly, I got sidetracked here.
That's fine.
What was the question?
Fant, Hayden Hurst, Jared Cook, Rob Gronkowski. Put them in order of priority for you.
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry I asked.
You should have just guessed.
Yeah, should have just guessed. Yeah. So I wonder what Dallas Clark is doing with his self these days. So it's not Gronk, still not Gronk for me. Like it does look like he's starting to try to go after Gronk a little bit more. I don't know. I really don't know. I do like Hayden Hurst. I like the way he's being used in that offense now. I'm going to go with Hayden Hurst first. Cook next because it's Drew Brees. It's a high-powered offense. They do have big weeks from time to time, and they're in that division where there are no secondaries. They're not allowed to be in that division if they have a secondary. So I don't mind Cook as my second there. So, but man, I really like Noah Fant too, coming off of his injury as well.
Yep.
For all the same reasons that we already talked. So that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. If that was a listener's question, I'm sorry I let you down.
No, those are just the guys I figured check, see if they're available. Like I said, they're all owned in 68% and up of leagues. So they're probably not available in your league. Fant's rostered 82, Hayden Hurst 82, Jared Cook 71, Rob Gronkowski 68. So these guys are pretty much owned. I just wasn't sure what order you would have them if they were available.
And I will say too that no matter what it is, if it's Fab, I'm not putting a lot of money on very many of them. Maybe Fant because the long-term plus that you have with having him at tight end. But if it's just for this week, I never put very much money on tight ends because there's always somebody else out there.
Yeah, there's always the next Anthony Firsker.
Right, exactly.
So here's a couple guys I think you should definitely check to see if they are available. These guys are owned in 60% and less of leagues. The first one is Dallas Goedert. Surprisingly, the Giants are actually pretty good against tight end. They're 8th overall against tight ends. So they don't give up a whole lot to the tight end. He's only rostered in 41% of leagues. So I'm assuming a lot of people dropped him in their redraft league when he got injured and knew he was going to be missing a bunch of games. But if Goedert is available and you held on to him, or if he's available and you can get him, or if you got him on your roster and you held on to him, like congratulations, without Ertz there, you're looking at probably a top 6 to 7 tight end. So congratulations to you for that. You just could have hit a gold mine. You could have hit a league winner. Tight end Anthony Firsker, we talked about him. I think his value 100% is Jonnu Smith related. If Jonnu Smith does not play, like I think Firsker is somebody you can pick up and play. He has a very difficult matchup against Pittsburgh. They are number 6 against the tight end. So if you're holding on to Jonnu and he doesn't play and you pick up Firsker, definitely temper expectations. But in a pinch, I think you could pick him up and play him.
I'm not tempering nothing. I love Firkser. And that's what I'd be doing if I was you, Al. You asked on that. If I got Johnny, what do? I'd try to handcuff him with Firkser if I could. That guy, I mean, it's just basically slot and play for that tight end position on Tennessee. Tannehill loves hitting that tight end. Just grab him and go. But keep going, George.
Yep. I'm burning right through these. The last one I think is of any type of note, to be honest. And because let's face it, tight end is basically a dart throw, right? Like you're hoping you get your 3 for 33, and you're hoping that one of those 3 falls in the end zone.
Exactly.
So, but the last guy I'm actually interested in is somebody I wasn't high on coming into the season. I didn't like the landing spot. I thought there was way too many mouths to feed, especially at the tight end position between him and Njoku. That's Austin Hooper. Hooper has 23 targets in the last 3 games, so I will take that. 11.1 PPR fantasy points per game over that span, with a minimum of 5 catches in each game. I'm starting to view Austin Hooper as a back end tight end 1. And again, it doesn't take much to be a tight end 1 in the NFL. Fall in the end zone, 4 or 5 times at the end of the season, you're a tight end 1. Yeah, but
4 for 4, you're in.
Yeah, 4 for 44, 100%, Mike. Justin, what are your thoughts on Hooper here, real quick?
It's not who I thought you were going to say, first off, but I do like.
You thought I was going to say Burton, didn't you?
Yes, I did. But no, I do like it. I mean, Austin Hooper, I'm the same with you. I wasn't huge on him going into the season. I felt, but I felt like I was wrong for the wrong reason. I felt like he probably wasn't going to do well there because his talent in Atlanta was connected to that offense. Turns out it's more like what you said, and that there's too many mouths to feed there, and he's needed on the offensive line a lot too. They have him blocking a lot more than I anticipated as well. So that has a lot to do with it. But if he's available, I'm picking him up because he does still have that potential for a big game any given moment.
And he's the highest owned tight end we have here. He's owned in almost 60% of leagues. So the odds of him being out there are not that high. But if he is, and you've got somebody like a Trey Burton or Darren Fells or Logan Thomas, I would have Austin Hooper over all of them. You mentioned Trey Burton real quick. First off, fuck you, Trey Burton. Secondly, the reason why I wasn't going to really bring up Trey Burton is he's on a bye this week. But he looked good this past week. He had 4 catches for 58 and a touchdown on 5 targets. He also added a rushing touchdown. He's got 16 targets in 3 games, which isn't too shabby. He's coming back from a calf injury. Excuse me. Try saying that 5 times fast. So, yeah, we all know how Phillip Rivers feels about the tight end position. Mo Alley Cox is out and injured. Trey Burton, he is a big body tight end. If you're desperate, break glass, hope 3 for 33. There could be more there with Trey Burton. I think we've seen him at his peak, though, this past week.
Obviously, yeah, that was definitely a peak, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. I want to throw out something else that's just food for thought to think about, and that is that as a Colts fan, and I've been very adamant about this all offseason, Phillip Rivers sucks, okay? Yep. I do not like Phillip Rivers. I said that all last season, too. Like, I never felt – like, he's lost it. Like, he was a great quarterback. I'll give him that. He very, very likely could be in the Hall of Fame, and it's well-deserved. But Jacoby Brissett for this team is a game manager. He's a guy that doesn't turn the ball over because he doesn't take risk. He relies on his defense and his run game, and that's exactly what the Colts have. So that's what the Colts need. That being said, Frank Wright is still stuck with him even through the first 5 really bad games. We finally got a good game from Rivers, and it was against the Bengals, but it was still a good game. And the first 5 games, he totally didn't shut him down. He hasn't even looked at the bench over to Brissett to make sure he's got him warming up or anything because he's boys with Phillip Rivers. Trey Burton is one of Frank Reich's boys from back in Philadelphia. They have a good connection here, and that's the only thing I can explain for why Mo Alley Cox could be doing so well. And they threw 1 pass to him 2 weeks ago, and then, of course, he was hurt, so he didn't play this week, Mo Alley. And then now that Doyle is healthy, they're not even trying to go after Doyle. They're moving right along with Burton. He's playing his boys, and I'm okay with that for fantasy purposes. I'm going to hang on to all of my Burtons.
Yep, I agree with that completely. I think Burton's a good grab right now.
Lastly, we'll finish this up, and I do agree. Burton is a good grab. I lost a bet. Trey Burton versus Ian Thomas. Ian Thomas went up with a goose egg. Burton went up and put up enough numbers to have more than a goose egg. So I lost a bet to our boy Josh. I had to change my Twitter profile page for a week, although it was a blessing in disguise because I had the Scott Fish as my Twitter profile. And then I found an amazing one that somebody created online today. It's a picture from the Lion King with holding Simba over Pride Rock. and it's got Tua's helmet and Ryan Fitzpatrick holding him up as the head of Rafiki. So it's pretty good. Just real quick, and there's no elaboration needed on these. Guys, if you're looking for a streaming defense this week, these are streamers, not anybody you want to rely on week in, week out. The Eagles at the Giants is not terrible. The defense for the Eagles is actually fairly decent. It's just their offense that's all banged up. They're owned in 32% of leagues. Chargers is a pretty good defense. They get Jacksonville, which could be a very bad offense at times. They're only 27% owned. And the Cowboys at Washington. Listen, it's the Cowboys. They're going to give up points, but Washington's anemic offense is so bad. They could be a streaming defense this week if you're desperate. Mike, as always, I'm going to close this out with the kickers. You are the kicker expert, so I need you to put in order of priority for me. Michael Bagley versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, Ryan Suckup versus the Vegas Raiders, or Brandon McManus versus Kansas City. 1, 2, and 3, those for me. Bagley, Suckup, McManus.
McManus, Suckup. Whoever the last guy was, Bagley. McManus will suck up your Bagley if you pay him enough money.
I was hoping you would do something with that. So what we're saying is, listen, I know there's leagues out there with kickers, but yeah, definitely get rid of your kickers in your leagues. All right, there's no reason to have them there.
Please.
With that said, Justin, again, I know you got to go. You're getting ready to jump onto your show here. I'll be watching you guys on YouTube here in a little bit. Thank you again for stepping in for Steve. Thank you on short notice. I know I only gave you like 45 minutes notice before we actually hit the record button. So I truly do appreciate you coming in a pinch. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can find your advice and where they can follow your podcast and listen to it in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that. I'm trying to get verification because they're talking about maybe pushing it back to 9 now. So if you don't catch us, if you don't catch us at 8:30, you'll catch us at 9. But just go to YouTube.
Real quick, sorry, Justin, I don't mean to cut you off, but if they actually go to your YouTube channel and hit subscribe, bless you. If they go to your YouTube channel and hit subscribe, then they'll know when you're going live. And with that, go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. No, so go to the YouTube channel or go to YouTube in general, go to the search bar and just type in Toilets to Titles. You would be shocked to find out that there are no other people out there anywhere that has a title named Toilets to Titles. So at first we kind of thought that it was kind of a shitty name, but it turns out it's pretty good. So, but anyway, yeah, at Toilets to Titles on Twitter. You've got at JustinFF_ if you want to catch me. But yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it. This is our first season with it, and this thing has grown into a miniature beast that we can't really control already. Like I think we have like 12 people that watch us. So it's
I just YouTubed you guys, and it says 3 million, but that's how to tile a small bathroom floor. So
yeah. So that's I started that video just to get us some more feed over into
there you go. Hey, get that steam, get that flow. I get you.
The sad thing is, after all of that time, I still don't know how to tile a damn bathroom floor.
I know how to tile a bathroom floor. I'll give you a quick little tip on how you do it. Okay, you call somebody who knows how to do it, and you just pay them to do it.
I knew it because I know you, George. I knew that was the answer.
I'm calling. Listen, I got no shame. I'm calling my dad. I'm calling my brother. They run a construction company. Like, I'm not doing that shit. Okay. No way in hell. I've tiled the floor before. It sucks ass. I'm not doing it.
For them to come up to Indiana would be a pretty steep fee.
So I'll give a real quick story. I had my brother's company come over yesterday, and we did the screen enclosure on my back porch, right? Like, you know how when you look at the screen enclosure, especially when they're brand new, if you touch them, they should be really stiff, right? Like you can almost bounce a quarter off it.
Right.
I went out there and I was poking at it, and I mean, this thing was super loose. Like, it looks like I did it, not a professional company did it. So I was going to call and complain about it. But then I'm like, well, it's my brother's company. I really don't want to complain. I'm like, when I see him at Thanksgiving or at the next event where we get together or something like that, I'll mention it to him. I don't want to, be that guy that bitches and complains, especially since family. And he had his guys come over and he gave me he definitely gave me a family discount. I will say that. So I wasn't really going to complain. It looked nice. It just wasn't super tight like it should be. So he called me today and he goes, "Hey, how'd you like your screen?" I was like, "Well, to be honest, I wasn't really impressed." I go, "It's super loose." And I'm like, I was expecting it to be a little bit tighter than it was. He goes, "Yeah, so was I. I fired the asshole that did it." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "They were talking about it. And I overheard him say that, the screen was loose, but it doesn't matter. It's just my brother." And he goes, "That fucking enraged me." He goes, "It's my brother. It should be, done the right way, especially if it's my family." He goes, "We treat all of our customers the same, whether they're family or not." He goes, he made that comment. He goes, "I was so pissed." He goes, "I fired the guy." He goes, "Right on the spot. I walked up and said, 'You're fired.' We don't treat any customer that way, no matter if they're family or not." So shout out to my brother. He fired the guy that fucked up my screen, and he's going to have to come over and do it himself. And he's not too pleased about it. So, but anyway, let's get out of here. I do want to plug one last thing real quick. For those at home still watching, tomorrow night we have the mail sack. Tune in with Mike. Who's on the mail sack? Is it it's Nader and Lucas, I believe, right? And Steve. Mike's ignoring me. That's fine. Tune in tomorrow.
I'm right here. Sorry, I just heard a weird voice.
No, you're fine. That weird voice is your girlfriend. You're good, Mike.
Yeah.
So tune into the mail sack tomorrow night. We have we'll have a podcast Thursday night. Vote for Kanye, and tune into the AMA on Friday nights. Sunday we have the Sunday Blitz. And with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Peace.